as I'm driving myself in this fancy dress, like, what am I gonna say? I'm backstage and you just see me checking my pulse.
No.
So much. I continually check my pulse because my heart beats out of my chest.
Access more.
Life is like a roller coaster, but it's better when we go through it together. Welcome to the Candace Bure podcast. We're here to share conversations about life's challenges, our celebrations, and everything in between. My guest host this season is author, speaker, and podcaster Jenny Allen, whose new book, Untangle Your Emotions, is available everywhere. Join us. Hey,
Hi. We're back
for another week.
Yes.
I'm excited to dive into another emotion.
Are we excited? Are we excited to talk about fear?
I was excited to get through last week.
That was big, girl.
That was a little heaver than I expected it to be.
That was amazing.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And thank you for just sitting in it and listening and being encouraging. I really appreciated that.
It was an honor and I mean it.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I think everybody feels that way.
Thank you. So today we are talking about another kind of heavy emotion.
Yeah.
We're talking about fear.
Yeah.
Fear. I would assume that's going to encompass worry, anxiety.
Sure. Yeah.
All of the things, but fear.
Yeah. I mean, this is a big one right now, right? Mm-hmm. We've got a million things to be afraid of. And in some of the research I did, it was fascinating. The way that they train a lot of people for things like the Navy SEALs is they do it with a simulator, which is very similar to video games today. And what they said is there's a part of your brain that doesn't know the difference. So if you think of the amount of death, sex, scary things, kidnappings, negative news stories, war, that we've seen in our lifetime on the news, but then you think about a generation that's seen it on their phones, hour by hour. Part of our brain is very traumatized because another part of our brain knows the difference. Another part can tell that other part, like, hey, by the way, that's not real or that's not happening to you. Mm-hmm. But for many people to watch, as much as we have violence and difficulty, there's a fatigue in our brains of just how much we've experienced just by way of media. And so it's funny, you usually feel your strongest reaction emotionally to something the first time you ever experience it. So when you think of the first time you see the ocean, like you feel so ecstatic. But for you who grew up by the ocean, you don't feel that same ecstatic feeling after the 100th time. So it's kind of like that with fear too, it's one reason they'll train you with these simulators is so you'll experience what it's like to live through something. And the reason I say that is because we've got a complete generation that's anxious, right? I mean, it's just in the water. Yeah. We all feel it to some degree. I know very few people that would say I feel no anxiety. I mean, I don't know if I've ever met someone.
I don't think I've met anyone either.
So so then you got to go, okay, is this every generation? Is it just, no, this isn't. So something about the way we're living, something about how we're doing life is causing this just stratospheric.
I mean, you named a few things to start off with, but do you think social media is one of the biggest reasons? Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I mean, we're just trying to take in so much. We are taking in so much, shaping us.
So I even think when I was younger, obviously I'm younger. I'm not watching the nightly news with my parents when I'm 5 or 6. However, we didn't even have access to things that were going on on the other side of the country, let alone the other side of the world. And now, which is the beauty of social media and the World Wide Web. But at the same time, you have access to knowing all of these things that are going on, along with the propaganda that's going on with all of it. And you don't always know what to believe.
And so you don't know what to feel either. Mm-hmm. So our feelings are very fatigued, all of our feelings. We're actually looking for, in our being, we're looking for to be stimulated emotionally. You may not know that, you may not consciously be doing that, but that's why you pick up your phone, right? That's why you look for something to bring you purpose, because you're looking for something to kind of wake you up, to jolt you, to give you a hit. And so we're actually seeking emotional stimulation through all these things. But again, we're seeking it through all these things. We're not seeking it from the places God has called us to seek it. So when it lets us down, when it feels like our emotions aren't working right, when it feels, and it's not all our fault, we're living in this world, like, right? This isn't something you can completely go under a rock and avoid, right? There's no shame in the fact that we're in this generation. We just are. This is our lot. And so I like to say give everybody a lot of grace for this is what we've got to figure out together. It's not something that, no, it isn't the best, but we've got to figure it out together. So social media is certainly part of it. I think the constant hit of adrenaline that causes fear. Even just our whole political system, the way that the world works is very driven by fear. Fear keeps people's attention.
Yep.
So the way everything has been set up is to drive to fear.
Yep.
And that's very intentional. It's studies. There's labs for this that are working on how do we keep everybody's attention, because in keeping our attention, we are easily, sold as, there's a commodity to it. And then there's also just fear drives decision-making and all of that. So it's okay. It is what it is. I'm not dogging the whole system. I'm just saying this is the system we find ourselves in, right? It's the fish noticing the water. Let's just notice the water and talk about the water for a minute so we know what's in the water. So fear is in the water. So then we go, okay, as Christians, you look at a God who says over and over again in scripture, do not fear, right? Do not fear. And that really is where I think we've got to start, because for a lot of people that know their Bibles, they would say, gosh, God's pretty clear on this fact. It is a sin to fear, because he says it as a command over and over again. And what I did was I went back and I studied, okay, where is this coming from? Like, was he commanding us not to fear? Is this a sin? Is it a sin if we fear? And so I want to read you some of the verses that I pulled for this, because when I went and looked at all the passages that say this, in almost every circumstance, there was already something scary happening, right? It was already scary. Somebody was going to war. Somebody was asked to do something very difficult, to leave their home, to take another land. There were moments that were scary situations, and anyone reading the text can tell, like, okay, this is a scary moment. And in these situations, I'll just give you a few examples. Fear not, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. If I'm scared and God is saying that to me, is he saying, quit being afraid? You idiot. Stop. No. Fear not. I'm with you, kid. I got you. I'm not going to let you go. Don't be sad. I'm with you. I'm your God. I'm not going anywhere. It's the same way we would comfort our kids when they're scared. And so do not be afraid of them, for I am with you to deliver you. Take heart. It is I. Do not be afraid. Don't be afraid that you are worth more than many sparrows to me. Fear not, little flock, for it is the Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid. This is a God who is compassionate towards our fear. He is kind and understanding. And I just think, one of my favorite sayings that I've gotten used to saying, and a lot of people I love say to me, is, of course you feel that way. Of course you feel that way. It's so little. But when I'm really stressed and I'm really anxious and I'm really worried and I say it out loud, it feels so good for someone to go, of course you're scared, baby. Like, of course you are.
Yeah.
There's a comfort in just it validating, like, the world's a scary place. It is.
Yeah.
Something about this is genuinely scary. We don't know what's going to happen. If COVID taught us nothing else, it taught us that. It taught us we don't know what's next. We don't know what's about to happen. And we don't know that we'll be safe and sound and everything will work out. So there's, I just want everybody to hear me and to feel that just wherever you are and whatever you're worried about and spinning about and anxious about. Of course you are. And didn't stop there. And God is with you and he loves you. Take heart. Peace I give to you. All these words of comfort. He's giving comfort. So I just love that image of God because
me too.
I can tend to feel like he's slapping me on the wrist, you know?
Yeah. Will you tell me a time in your life when you've felt fearful?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to go back a little ways. I walked through a season of anxiety and I was so relating to everything you shared last week, because it was a season where I needed a doctor and I needed to try medicine, and I did. And I needed a lot of help. I was paralyzed, and what had happened for me was I had, back to what we shared before about that pressure. I lived with that for so long. And then lucky for me, I became a pastor's wife, which is just about the hardest job in the world. All of you out there that are pastor's wife, God bless you. That is, because it's one thing if somebody picks on you. It's a whole other thing if somebody picks on your kid or your husband. Yeah, like it's just so hard, and it's so out of your control. You're sitting there, he's leading, they're talking. It's just hard. And so I think in that season, my worst fears started to come true. I had a deep desire for people to like me at that point in my life, like a lot of 20-somethings, early 30-somethings. And that was a real prize to me. I've since conquered that fear, but at that point in my life, that was it. And I know that sounds so small to some of you because you're fearing a cancer diagnosis and all of that. But I do think what God, and since then we've had way more dramatic things. My husband almost died last year. I talk about it in the book. So I know. I got to tell you that I
just leaned in. Wait, what?
Yeah, well, I'll come back to that. Okay. So I'm just saying, I've got the big things too. But at that point in my life, it's like the warm up. Like, I think God conquers fears. Like to me, I think of it as like a cliff jumping, and you jump off one cliff and you're like, oh, I'm okay. And then you can jump off a higher cliff. And so back then it was just letting people down, right? It sounds so small, but I think for so many other people.
It's not to me though, because I have the same.
Yeah, it can be a really scary thing to need. And I needed it at the time. And so I couldn't get it. I literally couldn't get it. And people were disappointing us all the time. And so I go see a doctor. I get on medicine. It was the most humbling thing. I know what you mean when you feel shame, because it was like my body was doing things that had nothing to do with my brain. Like I know it was connected, and I wrote a whole book about controlling your thoughts. So I know it was connected, but something had moved past that. And it was just, I couldn't stop spinning, And so I was really grateful for that season and for the help I got through counseling and through medicine. But that season for me also changed me in a good way, because there was a acceptance. And I think fear is one of those things that...
Acceptance from yourself or from others?
Of conquering of the fear. Like,
okay.
Oh, you're right. I can't. My worst fear is coming true. There's some lucky people out there whose worst fears come true in so much, certainly not at the loss of a spouse or in all of these things, but in so much as you've tasted God in ways that nobody else does. And this is truly a quote from my sister whose worst fears came true. And I can't, so terrible, I can't say on air anywhere or write about, but she looked at me one day and she said, Jenny, how blessed am I to know that if I lose everything on this earth, God really is enough for me.
Wow.
And I think that's the part, we don't think of it that way, and I think I look at that season for me, and I'm so grateful for it, because I also have compassion for me to talk about emotional health and not have gone through a season where my emotions weren't in my control. Like, I would not be a compassionate human, right? I would think like, fix it, just fix it. But I couldn't fix it. And it was it was about a year that it was pretty bad for me.
Okay. Are you the kind of person that worries about the little things in life, or do you fear the big future things in life? Yeah.
I would say both.
Both?
But again, like one thing that when my husband, it was COVID and vaccine related. It was both. His blood pressure the day after he got the second vaccine. And again, his heart showed evidence that it began with COVID. It wasn't just the vaccine, but his body couldn't tolerate it. And he couldn't speak. And was having a small TIA stroke. I take him into the hospital. His blood pressure was 210 over 180. The doctor and nurse pulled me out and said, this isn't human. This isn't high blood pressure. This isn't human. And so that went on for about 2 weeks. We couldn't get it down. And we had to learn, we had to teach our kids CPR. Like we just had to like stand by his bed and pray he didn't die. It was terrifying. Mm-hmm. Scared as I've ever been. And that did something for me. Like in a weird, it's almost like, so fast forward. And one of the things I talk about in the book was one reason my husband walked through a second depression was some financial stuff. He runs a business that was tanking, and we have heavy investors in it. And it just was going to mean like pretty big changes for our family, and pretty scary things were at that point were on the table. And I remember the day he told me and said, I don't know if we're gonna have to sell the house. I don't know how bad it's gonna go, but I want to take care of our investors. I don't know. And I literally didn't blink. And I was like, okay. And it was only because he had almost died a year before. I think without that fear, does that make sense?
Interesting. Yep. Absolutely. It was
like, because I'd faced that fear, I'm like, bankrupt? Okay.
I can handle that.
We can do that.
Yep.
Just live, Yep. And I think that's one thing that we don't see as it's happening is how God is making us stronger, through it. And not that I wish it on anyone.
That's James 1.
Right.
That's, consider Romans, joy.
Yes. And it's building hope and perseverance.
Yes. Trials of various kinds, because it produces endurance and perseverance.
Yeah. So you shared last week so vulnerably, I won't make you do such a thing again, but do you struggle with anxiety? Would you call it that? Because I think one problem is sometimes we talk about all fear as if it's anxiety, which I don't think it is.
I don't think it is. I don't fear really big futuristic things. I don't fear Jesus coming back. I mean, I'm really looking forward to that day, but I don't fear like, what if there's an earthquake that's going to come? What if someone dies? What if I lose I don't, or whatever. What if I go on this airplane trip and what if my plane goes down? Like, I don't think about those types of things. By the way, I fly a lot. And so I always have people asking me who have fear and anxiety over flying. How do you do that? But I don't fear it. So I don't know how to answer that question to help them with their fear of flying. However, there are things I certainly fear. And a lot of it is feeling pressured. And I will tell you, I was just at an award show last month. And it aired on television. It was on CBS, and it was the Family Movie, TV and Movie Awards. And Full House, I never thought we'd win an award 35 years later for Full House. That's adorable. But it was in this category. It got nominated for Classic TV Show, and it won.
Sure did.
And so the day of the event, I got there, and I was the only one from the show that was there at the awards. So they told me quickly beforehand, you've won your category. No. And so we're going to pull you because when you walk up stage, you have to kind of go around and you're going to come from behind the stage to come out, not from the audience. And let me tell you the panic and fear that I had. One, because I don't like feeling ill prepared. Sure. I need to be prepared.
Yeah.
So
it wasn't until that moment that you thought, I've got to give a speech?
It was just a few hours before.
Okay.
And so I am.
You're thinking, in your dress.
Yes. And I turned down car service that day because I was like, this is a great award. I was with my friend, Melissa. And they said like, do you want car service to take you? And I was like, no, we're going to just go. We'll have a good time. And then I'm going home. I got to pack, go to bed. So I'm like, I'll drive myself. And it was like the fear of the call. And it's like, you have to accept this award.
Right.
And I'm thinking as I'm driving myself in this fancy dress, like, what am I going to say? And I really did panic. And there's a video of me. I don't think I posted it, but I'm backstage and you just see me checking my pulse.
No.
So much. I continually check my pulse because my heart beats so out fast. Of my chest and it's racing.
Girl.
And my friend Melissa's like, she's trying to deep breathe with me. And I'm just like, I am on stage all the time. I speak to thousands of people all the time. But when I don't feel prepared, I have such fear. And anyway, the award show came. I felt like, okay, I kind of knew what I was going to say. But right before I was going on, my heart was beating out of my chest. I kept checking my pulse. But I'll tell you, the second I walk out on stage, it's like a calmness comes over me. I said everything I wanted to say without hesitation, without mumbling any of my words. It all came out great. And it was wonderful. And I walked off stage. But then I always think to myself, like, why do I have such anxiety over that or such fear of that in the moment? And it's something that I actually do really often. It still puzzles me. I feel the same way when I speak at conferences.
Really? Because you're so great at it. You bring the house down.
I am wound up 24 hours before any conference that I go out and speak. But then once I get on the stage, I'm okay. But anyone that's sitting in this room that's been with me at conferences, I am like a child winding themselves up.
I get that.
Freaking themselves out. And I'm like, Candace, you've done this so many times. Sure. Why do you still process in this way? And yet it's fine every time.
So I'm going to ask you a question. Do you remember a time that you felt ill-prepared as a child where you felt pushed out on something and embarrassed?
Probably. I just had a video that came to mind. We were doing something for Greenpeace. I don't know. I was probably 12. I have no idea. It was probably TGIF kids. And we were all doing a Save the Planet type of video. But I remember not really knowing why I was there. And I put the t-shirt on and it was...
that's out of body.
And and then we kind of all sang this song and it was fine. But then they individually interviewed all of us. And I've seen clips of it on YouTube.
Everyone's going to Google this right now.
I know. And you see some of the other kids talking about it like, oh, we should do healthy things for our planet and use paper bags and some whatever. But I had no clue what I was saying. And I was trying to BS my way through it. But I had no idea what I was supposed to talk about. Like my mom didn't prep me on, here are some 5 points of how you help save the planet. Here are the, So being ill-prepared.
And you hated it.
I just felt stupid. I felt like a complete idiot.
Which you hate. I mean, all of us hate. But I mean, going back to what you shared in the season, you have a high desire to hit the mark. And so that really took that from you. And it literally was because of a lack of preparation. So that's your enemy. You hate that.
Yeah. So that's what I felt. Sorry, I'm going to go on and on.
Keep going.
That's how when I co-hosted The View.
Yeah.
For 2 years of my life. Wow. But that was the anxiety of the day before to try to feel prepared. That is a fear-driven thing for me and gives me anxiety. Yeah.
That's really
my
fair.
Lack of preparation or fear of not being prepared enough. Because I can't say that I don't prepare.
Sure.
I typically do, but not being prepared enough is Did you know that last year over 5 billion pounds of meat was imported and sold in the U.S.? Yeah. Avoid the mystery of the meat aisle with Good Ranchers. They are the #1 source for 100% USA grown meat that you can trust to feed your family. Meat is often falsely labeled product of the USA at the grocery store, even though it's imported from other countries. Shop confidently knowing you're getting locally raised meat from Good Ranchers instead of second-guessing at the store. Make the switch today and taste the difference. Plus, when you subscribe to any of their meat boxes, you get my special offer of free chicken for a year. Yeah, that's adding 2 pounds of their fan favorite, pre-trimmed chicken breast to every order for a year when you subscribe and use my code CANDY. Their beef, chicken, pork, and wild-caught seafood is all 100% USA sourced, which your grocery store can't say. Go to goodranchers.com, pick your box, use my code CANDY, and get meat you can trust from a company that has the highest standards of quality and transparency. You can stock your fridge with easy to cook, delicious meat right now at goodranchers.com. And if you're worried about getting meat delivered, I can tell you from personal experience, it shows up still perfectly frozen. Get quality local food you can feel proud to feed your family. Go to goodranchers.com and use my code CANDY to claim over 25 pounds of free chicken today. Goodranchers.com, American meat delivered. So you may have heard Natasha and me on Karen Kingsbury's podcast recently. I watched a screening of her new movie, Someone Like You, which is out in theaters April 2nd. And wow, you guys, I hope you get to see this movie. It's a love story written by best-selling author Karen Kingsbury that follows a grieving young architect on the sweetest, most redemptive journey after he loses his best friend. Along the way, he discovers her secret twin sister. And I'm not going to give away the ending, but let's just say the plot twist will tug at your heart and remind you of the power of forgiveness and love. This is a movie for the whole family. So make a plan for a night out at the movies April 2nd and get your tickets today at ccbpodcast.com/someone like you. That's ccbpodcast.com/someone like you. And I'll put the link in my show notes.
I mean, what I want to say I'm going to go back to how old were you? 12.
Okay.
We'll go back to 12-year-old Candace. Is that whole thing. I love that you showed up. And I love that you didn't do that great. And that actually makes me love you even more. Because you were pretty
I didn't have a choice whether or not to show up. I was 12. My mom just took me.
But I'm saying to show up to something scary, to do it anyway. Like I think part of you needs to hear that you off the cuff, you without a plan is really likable too. And relatable. And I think everybody's like, oh yeah, I get that part of her. Like I feel that way a lot. Like I'm not prepared for what I'm doing. And I just think that I like that part of you.
Thank you.
You know, you don't, but
I do. I don't. I like, but with the IF gathering, which I would love to talk about that more. But when you do IF gathering and you're out on conference stages all the time speaking, do you know everything that you're going to say, or do you speak off the cuff? What'd you say?
Yeah, I was going to say I never get afraid of any of that. No, I prepare and then I trust God. Because here's the thing, and why another value in this is, I think people need to know that what we are saying is real. What you know, you get that.
Yes.
And so I think when I stumble and when I pause and when I'm considering my words, even on stage, which might seem like a lack of preparation, I trust that they know we're journeying together and I'm processing with them about whatever it is we're talking about.
Yeah.
And so I kind of trust that my fear, even my shaking sometimes, I mean, I do. I don't hide my nerves well. I get really shaky. And especially if I have to say something really difficult. And I trust that all of that can read as sincere because it is.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so, but I've had to learn why I can say I like that part of you is because I've learned to like that part of me, that isn't I may not impress someone with that, but I bet I will help them. Does that make sense?
Yes, it totally makes sense. And it just reminded me of, I spoke at the Women of Joy conference not too long ago. And that was the first time I'd spoken in several years.
Yeah.
Because I used to do that all the time. And then probably in the last 6 or 7 years, you've been busy. Even longer. I've stopped doing that. So that was the first one I came back to. I think it was 7 years. I hadn't spoken at a conference. And again, I just made myself so nervous, sick to my stomach before it. But just like you said, I get dry mouth when I get really nervous. It's like the first thing I just like everything.
Isn't that amazing?
It just goes dry.
Our bodies, it's not just in our brains. Like it literally is in our bodies. Yeah.
And I walked out with the huge, massive It wasn't a Stanley Cup, but it might as well have been a Stanley Cup, a big 40-ounce cup. And I went on stage and I'm like, I promise there's nothing funny in here. It's just a big old huge glass of water because I'm really nervous.
Yeah.
And I just need you all to know that I'm nervous.
Believe that.
I haven't done this for a long time and I am going to sip my way through this talk.
Wow.
And it was the most freeing thing that I said to start it off. And it actually relaxed me. And the audience, of course, they did embrace it. And they were like, great, you're a human being too.
That is actually a principle that you, when you share it, when you say it out loud, whatever it is, to anyone, it releases power. So I remember being at IF when I was really, really weary. I was about to take a sabbatical and I just was crawling to that finish line. I'd worked really hard and it had just been, I needed a break. And I remember walking into that and feeling super empty and not knowing how to lead the whole 2 days. And I remember my counselor said, why don't you just tell everybody that? I was like, okay. So I remember right before we go out, I told all the speaker friends that had come in that, and you feel everything you said last week. Like I felt ashamed and I felt weak and I felt embarrassed that I was even telling them this, but it released something. Like they now knew and they prayed and they were let in and there was a sense of, got you. And I get that. And I've been there too. And that's what we're all afraid of. And so we don't ever share our fears. We don't ever share our sadness because we think we don't want to seem weak. But the reality is it does. There's a supernatural shift that happens when we say it out loud. And so what you did to that crowd is true in that crowd. And it's also true to your kids when you feel afraid.
I was going to say, it's true to the small audience. Everywhere. You don't need to be on a stage for it. So it's true to your friend that you're talking to or your children or your husband, your wife.
The term we use in our small group is say what's in the room. What's in the room? What are you feeling? Because all of those feelings are actually at play. So if you're nervous, everybody picks up on it, whether you say it or not. So you may as well say it because it actually releases something for everybody. Everybody goes, okay, yeah, she is, of course. And I would be too. Or surprise, I would have never guessed that, whatever, but it releases it. And I think that's what maturing emotionally looks like, is you have the maturity not only to feel the emotion, to notice it, to name it, to feel it, but to also say it out loud. Because when you say it out loud, that is often when healing begins, is you aren't alone in it anymore. You feel it with other people. And a compassionate person or someone that you've taught to be compassionate, because we often have to teach the people around us to be compassionate, when they hear it and they can be in it with us and hold space for it, there's a sense of, I'm not as scared as I thought I was. But you can't get there or arrive there any other way. You will never come to it in your own brain by yourself. Saying it out loud, it's so bizarre, but it's also the whole principle of the Bible that you confess what is true. Sometimes that is the gospel truth. That is Jesus died on a cross, rose from the grave, is the hope for my sins. That's true. And sometimes it's, and I feel afraid. That's true too. Confession is to say what is true. And so we are to say what is true. And to me, the woman at the well is the best example because she didn't want to say what was true. She was anxious. She was there in the middle of the day. She didn't want to be there. She sure didn't want to be talking to this man who, she was a Samaritan and he was a Jew, and she didn't want that. And she kept trying to escape. And he was like, no, we're going to talk about this. You're going to say what's true. Right. Hey, and if you won't say what's true, I'm going to say what's true. You have multiple husbands and the person you're living with right now, you're not married to. Shame, shame, shame. No, but he said it to set her free. He knew she felt afraid. He knew she was afraid of being found out. And so he found her out. He said it. And it's the power of being found out. Just, this is what it is. And it's so great. I mean, I will never forget when Jennifer Lawrence fell up the stairs do you remember that?
Yeah, of course I do. And we all fell in love with her.
Right. That was when we all fell in love with her. Right. It was like, oh my gosh, that girl. She just gets up. She's like, yeah. Because she laughed. Why? Because she assumed it was a human thing to do. Right. And I think we need to all assume it's a human thing to feel sad. Yeah. It's a human thing to feel afraid. And so when we hide it, when we won't share it, when we want to pretend like we're not scared, I don't know. It's just, I don't relate to that anyway. just don't. That's superhero stuff. I'm human.
When I have like the immediate, because again, I feel like I have performance anxiety.
Sure.
That is my biggest fear. And one of the greatest Bible examples for me is Moses. And I love that, Moses, when God called Moses to say, you're going to lead all of the Israelites out of Egypt, he was like, I'm not really the guy for the job. And he was like, don't worry, I'll be with you. And Moses kept going on and giving excuses. And I'm going to read a little bit because I just love it. Oh, I lost my place here. And he said, but Lord, please, I've never been eloquent either in the past or recently or since you've been speaking to your servant because my mouth and my tongue are sluggish. And the Lord said to him, who placed a mouth on humans? Who makes a person mute or deaf, seeing or blind? Is it not I, the Lord? Now go, I will help you speak, and I will teach you what to say. And Moses said, please, Lord, send someone else.
All of us.
Yes. And the Lord's anger burned against Moses, and he said, this is what I love about God. So God was like,
you punk.
Yeah, I just told you I'd be with you like 3 times. Come on. Yeah. But listen to what God says. As his anger burned against Moses, he said, isn't Aaron the Levite your brother? I know that he can speak well. And also, he's on the way to now meet you. He'll rejoice when he sees you. You will speak with him and tell him what to say. I will help both you and him to speak and will teach you both what to do. He will speak to the people for you. He will serve as a mouth for you, and you will serve as God to him. So God has all of this compassion, even when he's like,
even when his anger is burning.
Right. I've got you.
That's
and he's like, nope, I can't do it. I can't do it.
And then he just going to help him.
Okay, I'm going to bring a friend. I'm going to bring your brother.
Okay.
And your brother can speak, and I'm going to be with you, and I'm going to speak.
Really precious. Yeah.
I mean, isn't God, just amazing?
Yes.
I love that.
I love it. And I think, oh gosh, I mean, my favorite, everybody that has ever listened to me knows this is true. I cannot get through any book or anything I do without talking about Pilgrim's Progress, because Christian becomes,
that book.
I do too. And if all of you need to read it, if you don't want to stomach the Old English, read the kids version. It's really special too. But basically Christian starts out on the path and he becomes a Christian early in the book. And then it's just basically a series of terrible, unfortunate events. A lot of them he causes. But I love it because it's like, this is how it goes, right? You fall into the castle of doubt and you're like, wait, no, I do believe all this, but man, I've been doubting God. And you fall into the pit of despondency and there's no hope and all of those things. And yet God was working in all of those moments, and his addiction to, Vanity Fair with entertainment and, all the things. I mean, it just is so relevant to our day and life today. And why I love it so much is somewhere I picked up the idea that being a Christian is up and to the right. And I just keep getting stronger and better and more joyful and more, capable. But that's just not how it's gone. It's like, okay, I got out of that thing. Yay.
Right.
And then I fall into something else.
Yep.
And it just, I think God is gracious with us. And
he is.
He gets it. He empathizes with our weakness, like we talked about week 1.
Yeah. I think we should go to a listener question.
Let's do it.
Okay. We actually have 2 listener questions today. Hi, Candace. How do you get rid of stage fright?
Wow.
Well, this is a good one. We can both answer because you're on the stage all the time too. Do you ever have stage fright?
Oh, all the time. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it still happens. Not every time, but certain events will get me good. Yeah, I've never done anything scarier than Passion, which was 68,000. And I felt like the Lord, 66, I don't know, 66,000 in an arena. Oh, and the reverb on that thing, like it's just bouncing back. And once you're up there, you're like, I got to keep going, but you can't even think because you're hearing your own voice bounce back and forth over.
That's tough.
That was rough. So that was bad. And I felt like the Lord was telling me to have them confess sin, which could go really badly with 66,000 people. So I was scared. I've never been so scared in my life as that talk.
Wow.
And the Lord moved. And that's what I've learned is like, he moves when you're scared. He moves when you're not. He moves when you're cocky. He moves when you're humble. Like
Yeah.
I'd love to say it's a formula if your heart gets perfectly pure and right and ready. And it's not like that. It's that messy Pilgrim's Progress. You're like, I'm doing this and I'll do it for you, Lord. But I do think my motivation, when it is for the Lord rather than impressing people, that changes everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I
that
agree
sets
with
me
that.
free.
It sets me free too.
And when I notice I'm too nervous, I have to ask myself, what if they aren't impressed? Am I okay? And I have to get to where I'm okay.
Right.
Because then I can do it for them. Like it's for them and it's for the Lord. And it's not about me being a great speaker.
I say the same thing. I remind myself when I get too nervous. It's like, what's my motivation? Do I want all of them to like me?
Right.
Do I want them to applaud me that I just spoke some greatness into them? Or do I want them to see the Lord? Am I shining the light on the Lord?
Yeah.
And then I take the pressure off myself. I'm like, you're right. I'm here to speak on behalf or to speak as a vessel to shine the spotlight on God. It's not about me. So it doesn't matter, Candace, how much they like you.
And I would just say, don't let stage fright limit your ability. Like, do it. Just do it.
That's the thing.
Go do it.
As I said before.
Preach God. We need to all be doing that everywhere we can, in every opportunity we're given, where we can.
Open your mouth and go out there and just start talking, because more than it won't, more than not, you actually probably won't be scared once you get out there and just start doing it. That's what I find for myself.
For sure. I agree with that.
I'm nervous behind the curtain. And then once I get out there, it's like something else takes over.
Yeah.
But don't let the fear stop you from going out.
And preach. I mean, again, sometimes we're speaking about other things, but if you're in ministry, preach the Bible, because the Bible doesn't return void. So even if you do a okay job or not a great job at all, there is work that is happening for people and in people. Promised. And that is, I find comfort in that.
Yeah. Okay. Here's our second listener question for today. It's from Cassandra. She says, I'm a mama to a precious, almost 2-year-old daughter, and I'd love some wisdom on the line between being wise and cautious versus parenting out of fear. With all the childhood abduction and trauma stories out there, it's so hard to balance faith and fear.
You know what this makes me think of? And we both were a part of this. My daughter was born 2 months after 9/11. And I don't know if you remember, but everybody was talking about getting masks. And there was this sense of what world are we bringing them into? Are we going to be in a global war? Do you remember that? Those feelings?
I do, because
never been more scared as a parent.
Lev had just been born right before it.
Yeah, that was really, really scary. And sometimes, it's like, it is scary. It's not like for sure nothing bad is going to happen to your kid. I could about promise you it will.
Yeah.
Some of the scary things will.
I know. It's a scarier time. I think about when I was young and being parented, and there's all kind of TikTok videos. It's reels. It's fun to watch, but it's like,
nobody was worried about us.
Yeah. I drank out of the hose. I wasn't drinking from a water bottle.
We barely wore seatbelts.
We didn't wear seatbelts. We just roamed around the neighborhood, and we knew we had to come home when the streetlights came on.
That's when we came home, and we went far. We should have been taken. It's true. It is a completely different time.
World. And I truthfully, honestly, I don't know how to navigate all of that right now. I feel like, hopefully sooner than later, I will be a grandparent, but I start to think about that with my grandchildren and how my children are going to parent. And there are some things that feel fearful in parenting today. So let's help work this out.
Here's what I do in my own brain when I get here is chase down your worst fear. And one way to do that, a helpful practice, is to say, so what? So what are you afraid of? And you chase it down. And for me, I remember specifically, it was my oldest son, and I was very worried about him all the time. I was losing a lot of sleep over his decisions and felt like, gosh, what is going to happen to this kid? And I remember somebody doing this with me, just, so what happens if he drinks? So what happens if he, dates this girl? Well, he gets her pregnant. And then what happens if he gets her pregnant? And then somehow he ends up in jail, right? Like that's
right.
And my son hates this story because he's like, Mom, I really barely ever drank. Like, I don't even know how you got me all the way now in jail. But that was, to me, that was what my fear loop was doing. And I needed to just chase it to its end. And so when I did that, when I chased it to its end, I'm like, okay, so he's in jail. Is God enough for him? Is God enough for me? And he was, and he is. So it's like, do I want my kid in jail? Heck no. Do we want our kid in any situation? Could our worst fears come true? Could my husband have died? Could he still? Yes, it may come true. But is God enough for me if it does? Like, is God enough? And so when you name your greatest fear and you really go before the Lord and go, are you enough for me in this fear? You know, I was like, well, we'd figure out how to do prison ministry together. Like, we figure it out.
Right. And, but what about the person who's not there in their relationship with the Lord yet? And they're like, I don't know that God's enough for me. I haven't developed that relationship with him yet.
Oh, I hope that as you even heard those words that Candace just said, that you feel honest about that, because God loves that. I mean, God loves it. I remember my daughter, when she was just to become a Christian, she was probably 4 or 5. And my son, who was a little bratty, was 2 years older. And we were talking about prayer and said, you could talk to him anytime. She was like, I don't really want to. And Connor's like, well, you're supposed to want to. And she said, well, I'm just getting to know him.
Oh, that's
and I was like, well, that's exactly right. And I think that grace to just like, it's okay if that's where you are. I think it's just so great to tell him that. Like, I don't know if I trust you with my kid. I don't know if I trust you. It seems to me like you take people's kids all the time. And I don't know if I trust you or that you would be enough for me. And I just think that begins a different kind of relationship with God. It opens the door for a conversation with him to.
And don't stop there. Tell him that.
Yeah.
But don't stop there. Pursue him
and keep telling him everything and watch. I mean, he wants you to know him. He wants you to trust him. He wants you to know how much he loves you. He wants that. That is his greatest desire. He sent his son to die so that we would know how much he loves us. Like, what a pain in the booty to live on this earth, to be born in a manger, to do all the things that humans have to go through, to die a brutal death for the very people he's dying for. Like that.
Yeah.
It's a big old ruckus if he didn't have a plan and a purpose. And the purpose was you. The purpose was you. That you would know how good he is, that he loves you, that he wants you, that he likes you, that he's not mad at you. Because of the blood of Jesus, he's not mad at you. He likes you. He's coming for you. That's what I'd say. And I hope wherever you are, like if you're driving, if you're sitting outside right now, I hope that you feel his love. I hope you feel his delight, not just his love. Because we all know Jesus loves me, this I know. His delight, that he likes you, he wants a relationship with you.
Amen. That's my whole goal with this podcast is really to help everyone listening just draw one step closer to Jesus every day, step by step. I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. I sure have. Thank you, Jenny, for sharing. Remember that we have a free PDF download for you this season, and we're calling it The Unwind Guide. And it's a free resource to help you thrive in your emotional health. So go to Candace.com, and you can also ask questions there, and we will answer those questions in future episodes. Until next time, be grateful all day, every day. I sure hope you're loving these conversations as much as I am. Give me a thumbs up if this one made you feel hopeful today. Candy Rock Entertainment, all rights reserved.